What is going on, Chicago Bears fans? We've got some interesting stuff happening right here. Velus Jones was almost traded. Uh, we've got some coming up. Ryan Poles thinks that the quarterback position is secured for the future, and some NFL executives, just kind of out of nowhere, are now saying that they consider Caleb Williams to be a top five quarterback before he ever really takes the field for a game. We're going to break some of this down for you. Do we agree with it? Not yet. Do we think that this is going to be a good team? I think we should, but is it going to be is this a top five quarterback? Let me know what you think in the comment section. And if you like this kind of content, then make sure that you hit that like button on your way in. Helps push me up in the algorithm. That gets more people watching, unless we continue doing what I love doing, which is talking about the Chicago Bears every single day. So first up, we're still 5 days away, we're still a couple days away from that season opener. And this is what happened, okay? During a September 3rd interview with ESPN 100, NFL insider Albert Breer told co-hosts David Kaplan and Jonathan Hood that he recently sent out his annual poll to NFL teams asking them to predict which quarterbacks will rank among the league's top five by the end of 2024, and has received ballots with Williams on them. Ballots. Caleb Williams has landed on a couple of these ballots. I can say he's the only rookie that's shown up on any ballots, and he's gotten on a couple of them. I'm not saying he's showing up on 10 ballots or anything, but I think I have 59 in right now, and he's shown up on multiple of them. For context, Breer said he sends ballots to relatively high-level team staffers in charge of evaluating quarterbacks. The poll includes head coaches, offensive coordinators, quarterback coaches, general managers, assistant GMs, and pro scouting directors. Several top selections are predictable. Breer said that Patrick Mahomes is likely the unanimous number one, followed by a group of Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and CJ Stroud, which has a good chance of rounding out that top five. However, the fact that Caleb Williams was included is noteworthy because it says in this day and age, and this is from Breer as well, he says in this day and age, and with what there is in the league right now at quarterback, the fact that he has shown up on a couple of them, I think that's a good sign for what people are seeing on tape and how they see the situation around him in Chicago. Also, ESPN is now predicting that Caleb Williams will win the 2024 Rookie of the Year. The latest odds from DraftKings are plus 135 for Williams, plus 475 for Jaden Daniels, plus 650 for Marvin Harrison. That's where you are right now. Caleb Williams, the prohibitive favorite for winning the Rookie of the Year. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below about Caleb Williams being a top five quarterback. What are the odds? We got Oxy Brodone in the house that says not now, but definitely by the end of the season. And I think that's a fair assessment. Probably not true. I can't imagine a situation in which, well, let me rephrase that. I should say I can't imagine a situation in which this happens, but I don't think a rookie quarterback has ever landed in the situation that Caleb Williams finds himself in. At best, you could say CJ Stroud last year, and he, of course, came in as one of the top five. So there is certainly some conversation to be had about, maybe, just maybe, there is some opportunity for him to be a top five quarterback by the end of the year. But imagine the effort that it's going to take by this team to put him in that upper echelon. That seems to me a little bit prohibitive. So let's say top 10 quarterback by the end of the year, get a nice little rip into the offseason, gets that big bump in that second year improvement, if you will. The team at large does the same thing. And then let's see if we don't have him up there as a pretty good guy. Now, hoping he's top five is no different than hoping he wins 13 games this year. He doesn't win 13 games. The team wins 13 games. Him playing as a top five guy would help that to be the case, certainly. But if he's a top 10 quarterback and the defense is a number one defense, then it could also handle itself without him being in that realm. But we're just splitting hairs at this point on whether or not, how we rank them. And it's subjective. This is people's opinion. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this plays out over the next couple of months. I am super excited about this season, and I hope that you are too. And we should also remember the Bears have never had a single season 4,000-yard passer in the history. Caleb Williams would have to average 237 yards a game in order to get to 4,000 yards, and he'd have to play in every single game. So that's not too much. That's not too much. And remember, Eric Kramer holds the record at 3,840 yards. And I want to say that was about 30 years ago. It's been a long time. So we'll see what happens here. Also, Eric Kramer holds the single season touchdown record with 29. So the best quarterback in recent memory for the Chicago Bears, Eric Kramer. Let that sink in. So this should be it should be really it should be really good season. Like I really think that we're going to see something fantastic develop in Caleb Williams. The question is, how long does it sustain? Now, there are a couple other things. Let's see. Williams is one of the few players mentioned as a top quarterback in the projections. His supporting cast features notable talent, boosting expectations of his performance. Caleb Williams stands at a pivotal point in his career as he prepares for his NFL debut with a high expectation from analysts and fans alike. If he can leverage his supporting cast and break existing franchise records, he could redefine the quarterback narrative for the Chicago Bears. Now, and that really comes down to this. Can the guy do 4,000 yards? You know what I mean? Could he be that guy? I believe Caleb will be in the top 5 or top 10. He'll be the first 4,000 yards. I think that there's a possibility. I mean, when you break it down in the NFL, you don't really need that many because you got an extra game, right? So for him to really average more and be, that guy, I would think takes about 4,200 to kind of erase some of the records, and he needs at least 30 touchdown passes. So there is a distinct possibility some of this can happen, and he could be the 6th best at the end of the season. That is exactly right. Look, he could be the best by the end of the season. We could see something incredible happen. Now, I don't think that's the case because, look, it's going to take a lot to knock Patrick Mahomes off of his throne. However, it took a lot to knock Tom Brady off of his throne as well. So you never know, and you never really see it coming. Do you know what I mean? Nobody was considering, and look, remember, Brett Favre was considered that quote unquote gunslinger, and nobody ever expected Aaron Rodgers to do what he did and have the career that he had. Or if they did, there were very few people, and it was kind of muted because nobody really had that idea. And look at what Aaron Rodgers was able to do. Incredibly accurate passer. If Caleb Williams starts to do this, if he's really locked in, and we really start to see an incredible game from him. And here's the thing: if he understands the learning curve and all of those pieces, if he understands what it takes in the NFL and he gets it quickly, then I mean, all bets are off. This could end up being just an incredible move. So let's talk about the next piece here. Ryan Poles says this. He says on Hard Knocks, this was on Hard Knocks yesterday. He says that he's not worried about the quarterback position, and he feels like he doesn't have to worry about the quarterback position for a very long time. And here's what he says. He says that he thinks that, this is, and he's created, or he feels like he's created some stability at the quarterback position, not just the stability of the quarterback position in terms of Caleb Williams, but look at the backups that there are. Look, we really like, and I think most of us at this point really like what we see from Tyson Bagent. And as a backup, if we have him for a couple more years, then I think the future is pretty secure just in case something were to happen to Caleb Williams. And look, just so you guys understand, I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky. So I have a soft spot in my heart for the University of Louisville Cardinals, and Teddy Bridgewater was one of my favorite quarterbacks. And look what happened to him. All he did was drop back for a pass one day, and his entire leg just separated. And it was like a catastrophic moment in his career. And look, I don't think that Teddy Bridgewater was a fantastic NFL quarterback. He was a journeyman. He was a serviceable guy. He was an interesting person. He was a quality he had character. He was one of those guys just like Justin Fields and people like that. People just love him because he's a great player. He's got passion, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't think he was a great quarterback. But I mean, anything can happen. Anything can happen. Anybody can fall the wrong way, something like that. So with Tyson Bagent right there, I think we've got to just be considering that maybe maybe we're in good shape. So there was a Joe Schoen, and what happens here is he's had a brief get together with Giants general manager Joe Schoen during warmups prior to Saturday's Clemson versus Georgia matchup, and he says. Got to be nice, Schoen began, not to be looking at the and Pohl said quarterbacks. And then they started laughing. And he says, hopefully it stays that way for a long time. So what you had here was this. You had Ryan Poles show up for Clemson and Georgia, and he's watching the game, trying to get evaluating some talent, if you will. And the one position that he wasn't concerned about was quarterback. So, and by the way, probably not too worried about wide receiver at this point, always looking for somebody as a backup, knowing, of course, look, he's looking for tackles. He's looking for defense. He's looking for impact players that are ready for this roster. And by the way, if this works out to its best advantage, he's done a fantastic job of remaking this team to the point that, we're going to be looking at some weird situations about where do we really need star players. And look, you always make an argument that we need them everywhere. We still probably need that defensive tackle. That's a game changer, not the 3 technique, but Andrew Billy. Could we upgrade that position? Is there an opportunity? Is there an opportunity for a young, rugged linebacker to come in? And we get rid of that $23 million Tremaine Edmonds contract. And look, I love Tremaine Edmonds. I'm a fan, but I'm not a fan of $23 million. And this team has got to be prepared for that future and that inevitable $60 million a year contract that they're going to have to pay Caleb Williams at some point. And by the time we get 4 years down the road, $60 million for a quarterback is probably going to be the norm. So I do think that we're probably going to be looking for that. And offensive lineman, at this point, we're going to need some more. But in his own Hard Knock Spotlight earlier this year, Schoen discussed the Giants' approach to drafting the number 6 overall pick, which ended up being Malik Neighbors, which leaves Daniel Jones in his make or break situation. But the Bears were in a shaky situation too. Of course, now we seem to be secured. So if that's the case, then I think the future is going to be very, very bright for the Chicago Bears. Now, with that being the case, let's talk about it. And Oxy Brodon says, Teddy never seemed the same after that. You're absolutely right. But here's the other part. Teddy was, look, this is my opinion. Okay. Teddy was a good game manager. He was not a guy who went out there and made play. And by the way, in Louisville, same thing. He was a game manager, but at the time they had Devontae Parker. There were a lot of great players that were on that roster that ended up making some waves in the NFL. So it allowed him to distribute the ball to a bunch of talented players, and the Louisville players were the ones that were doing that. You know what I mean? So, and I think that and then when he came back, the NFL had moved on, and he didn't really have a spot on a roster. You know what I mean? And then that just turned him into a backup because once you've had a chance to kind of zoom out and say, well, he's injured, he's going to sit for a year and a half or 2 years. As he heals, then you start to look at it and you break it down. You're like, you know what? He's not really a starter in this league. This is my emergency guy. He's not going to lose me games, but he's not going to win me games either. And that's really what it came down to. Despite the fact, look, I love the guy. Again, one of my favorite, not my favorite Louisville quarterback, by the way. And I can tell you this, it was also not it was also not Lamar Jackson. That's not my favorite Louisville quarterback either. So yeah. I do have my favorite Louisville quarterbacks, but neither of them were that guy. Jeff Brom, he ranks way up there. Browning Nagel, way up there. There are quite a few that rank up there, but And by the way, I did get to see the rookie out there, Pierce Clarkson, which was awesome. And that was a pretty good, that was a pretty good thing. And by the way, I like Dave Ragone. I like Chris Redman. There were quite a few that I was really a big fan of. So, and Brian Brom, Jeff Brom's little brother, was also a quarterback at Louisville. So, yeah, let's talk about Tennessee Titans, though. Tennessee Titans at Chicago Bears. What is the line right now? The line at this point is the Bears by 4. Money line is -200 right now. And for the Titans, it's plus 165. So if you pick the Titans and you bet $100, you win 165. With the money line with the Bears, -200, you have to put in 200 to win 100. So Bears are the favorite, not by much, pretty close game, but the over-under is at 45 right now. And a lot of people, this is what I got here from analyst John Heffling. Chicago Bears opponent this week, Tennessee Titans. After a year of dominance in the AFC South, they're firmly at the bottom of the division. They're hoping that Will Levis, by the way, quarterback from the University of Kentucky, gross, can establish himself as a franchise quarterback even without Derrick Henry in the backfield. In Henry's stead waits 2023 disappointment Tony Pollard and 2024 breakout candidate Tyjae Spears. If either can reach the level that fans know they are capable of, this team could wind up winning more games than expected. But still, most of the team's success will live and die with Will Levis. Now, I do think Caleb Williams is a far superior quarterback to Will Levis when we break it down overall. Will Levis, however, despite the fact that he played at Kentucky, he actually turned the Kentucky offense into something that really didn't suck for a while. So he ended up being a pretty good player overall for that team. Yeah, that was a very big a very big thing. So I do think that we're going to win. And by the way, I'm going to give you a prediction tomorrow so that you guys are ready for it, so that you can get mad and be like, oh my God, I can't believe that this is. But look, I'm going to predict that the Chicago Bears are going to put a shocker on the Tennessee Titans. I think that they are going to be. I think they're going to be absolutely fantastic because it's all about the defense at this point. And I think this defense is going to be stifling. And I think that the team will start to find ways to score. And I think that, Titans are just no, the Titans are not just Will Levis. I just don't like him because he went to Kentucky and I'm a Louisville fan. So Will Levis, you're gross. You're gross, Will Levis. Gross. Anyway, let's move on. Velus Jones Jr., it turns out, was almost traded and made Ryan Poles emotional. What is going on here? In the 4th episode of Chicago Bears, it ended with an emotional hug for injured Ian Wheeler and his mother, Bora. The emotion of the final episode was Ryan Poles. And it was cut down day at Hallis Hall, and Poles really had a moment where he met with safety Adrian Colbert to tell him the dreams of playing for the Bears had ended. One line from the Poles at the beginning of the show summed it up well. It says, yes, you want to keep everybody, but we're not in that space anymore. It's time to win. Yeah, because it's Will Levis. Because I still don't like Will Levis. Ugh, I think he's gross. This is just me, just in case Will Levis ever watches this video for any reason, or a Kentucky fan who knows me ends up watching this video. I want them to know, ew, Will Levis is gross. It didn't keep him from having a few tearful moments, though. Cutting Colbert proved difficult, to say the least. Colbert is the safety that signed to the practice squad in November of 2022, and they kept around the team in the practice squad for the last 2 years. He had a backstory told earlier in the series of surviving at age 9 after being hit by a car and traveling in a high-speed bike. So Poles gave Colbert a hug when he met on cutdown day, and then had to leave the office for several moments when he became too emotional. Colbert was the steady rock through it all and explained why he appreciated his time in Chicago. You know, you don't really find many places like this, Colbert said. Everyone wants you to be the same. Everyone wants you to be exactly like the next person. This place has allowed me to really be me. I think that alone has allowed me to thrive on the field and off the field. So, Ryan Poles letting go of Adrian Colbert was a big thing. And then what happens And by the way, Colbert has been with a couple of different teams, but then um, this gets a little bit weird because it turns out people were trying to trade for Velus Jones, and we were seeing that, and a lot of people felt the same way, despite the problems that we've seen, and we've watched the product on the field. And everybody thinks that Velus Jones has made 100% progress on everything he's done. Um, Jones' conversion to running back provided a happy ending for a player they seems to want to make the team. The man now known as the Ferret King. The coaches' meetings to discuss cuts provided the story behind why they kept him. This guy is a potential game changer for me in certain spots, said Matt Eberflus. Running back coach Chad Morton lauded Jones' ability to pick up the skill set needed to run with speed and power like a back in such a short period of time. And Shane Waldron said the strides that Velus made week to week outside of just the big runs, it was the inside runs. That's a tough skill set to bypass. The biggest revelation of episode 5 was that another team actually was seeking to trade for Velus Jones, who had been a third-round pick in 2022, but they lowballed Ryan Poles on the offer. And Poles said this: I would never go below a 4. The value doesn't make sense on paper. That means that he sees a lot of value in Velus Jones. And just consider this. He saw maybe the same amount of value in Justin Fields. So the plan is to use Jones as a running back at times, as well as a kick returner, and special teams coordinator Richard Hightower said he also has plans to use him as a gunner. So this guy's going to see the field. I hope that, look, he's prone to fumbling. So, keep the ball out of his hands as much as possible, I want to say, is not going to be a poor and or bad thing. I think it'd be great for the team to have him not touching the ball, but affecting the outcome of the game. So get him on special teams as a gunner, something like that. That might be his best calling. And every once in a while, give him the football, let him work through it, let him figure out how to hold on to that ball. And, maybe, just maybe, we're going to end up being fine. But I don't know. I'm just speculating. And guys, that's my time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Velus Jones still on the team. Velus Jones potentially being traded. We got Adrian Colbert in Hard Knocks yesterday. We got to see a little bit about, what Ryan Poles really feels about his players. And that's an emotional, heartwarming sort of thing to know that your general manager cares about your players, but he will also do what's best for the team. And that cannot be overlooked. This was a great moment for the Chicago Bears to see that out of Ryan Poles. And guys, I'm super excited. We're going to blow out Tennessee in a couple days. I'm going to tell you that right now. In the meantime, bear down. Let's have a great couple of days here leading up to it. Hopefully we don't get any kind of injury report that sucks and makes us feel bad and changes the dynamic of this team. And also, FUGB, Green Bay, you stink. You smell like cheese farts. I don't like you. I don't like your quarterback. I don't like anybody on your team. I liked Jonathan Owens last year, but I didn't like him until now. So we'll talk to you guys again soon. And thank you so much for tuning in. See you later.